Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here with Drip and Farm for Property, where we don't trust, we verify, and operate with integrity and transparency. Today we got a clip from Simply Bitcoin with Oceans, and one particular clip where I forgot the interviewer's name of the interviewee, but he's talking about the supply shock that's incoming. And I mentioned this previously before. I've mentioned multiple times that we are not pricing in the scarcity of Bitcoin at this stage now that it has regulatory approval and there are companies stacking billions. So let's play this clip real quick and then let's break it down and see.
It's not Bitcoin. Let's do the math. 21 million coins, several of which are lost forever. ETFs and publicly traded companies like Strategy are gobbling up supply. Governments haven't even started buying in size yet. And here you are waiting for a pullback? There simply won't be enough Bitcoin to go around when the world wakes up.
Bitcoin securitization and Bitcoin-backed, companies effectively buying Bitcoin and not selling it.
Right.
And if you look at that category, it's dominated by MicroStrategy. But if you look at that category, it's like 750,000 Bitcoins or something like that are owned by Bitcoin treasury companies.
Let's take a look at that specifically. So you can come to bitcointreasuries.net, and the total at this stage for the top 100 is just under 1 million Bitcoin. Let that sink in. 1 million Bitcoin by the top 100 companies. That is basically 5% of the supply, especially when you factor in the ones that are lost. So we can actually automatically take out 1 million for Satoshi's wallet because those haven't moved. And if that is how Finney's rest in peace, then yeah, we're not getting that out. And I haven't looked at this in a while. Let's actually take a look at Satoshi's wallet and see. Yeah, he owns 1.09 million. So we can just go ahead at a minimum, take the cap from 21 to 20. There you go. So 20 million available and 1 million of that being owned by 100 treasury companies. 5% gone right there, right off the top. And Jack put this in a clip to Bloomberg, and it's like, yeah, we know it's scarce, but there is always a point at which someone will sell their Bitcoin to someone else. So it will still continue to exchange hands. And it's not a matter of quote unquote, not enough going around. It's a matter of how bad do you want it and how much, what are you willing to sell to get it? What are you willing to part with to get your hands on this? And what is the other person willing to get rid of? All the time in life, things come up that we don't factor in. You know, you could have an emergency and you're sitting on stacks of Bitcoin and you have to sell it for some odd reason. Or you could come into a shit ton of money from the lottery and you're like, well, I'm going to buy a bunch of Bitcoin. I'm willing to bid up the price. So there's all sorts of reasons that can make BTC move. Point in this article with Mark Moss, interview with Mark Moss and this guy's name, David, got his name. But anyway, is that, yeah, David Bale. These companies are buying it up in masses, in droves. So what happens when we fast forward this? Well, let's find out.
And Bitcoin-backed, companies effectively buying Bitcoin and not selling it.
Right.
And if you look at that category, it's dominated by MicroStrategy. But if you look at that category, it's like 750,000 Bitcoins or something like that are owned by Bitcoin treasury companies. Project that number forward. Like if you increase the number of Bitcoin treasury companies and you increase their time in market and you increase, let's say, their ability to find additional financing or dilution events because the price of Bitcoin is going up and that's like driving liquidity into these instruments, then they're going to be able to continue to grow at an ever increasing rate the amount of Bitcoin held by those types of vehicles. And so, if 750,000 Bitcoins becomes 3 million Bitcoins or 4 million Bitcoins, like it's going to cause a massive supply shock. And it's like, well, how do you get the Bitcoin out of those companies once it goes in? And so ultimately, like if the Saylors of the world can accumulate too much Bitcoin, it doesn't matter if people are rebalancing or not. There's just going to be a massive squeeze on the market, and until those businesses, until Saylor's willing to sell some Bitcoin, like there's no solution for it. I mean, It's absolute scarcity.
So,
and I don't know if any of those companies will ever sell. Like the 21 is Jack Mallers' company with Tether. And I don't know, part of me still believes Strategy has some paper Bitcoin because these numbers just don't make any sense. But regardless, there are going to be, as David just mentioned, more companies coming in, adopting the strategy, and there will be more legitimate, hardcore Bitcoin holding companies, like ones that believe not your keys, not your crypto, like Jack, that will indeed be taking Bitcoin off these exchanges and self-custodying it, and that will indeed cause a supply shock. We have this recent article, Coinbase discloses 2,500 acquisition for Q2, so they bought some more BTC. There's Cointelegraph, 8 billion in total being bought by 16 companies over the past week. So and these are on chain. So this one is showing you on Arkham these purchases that are actually happening on chain. And again, can't verify or prove that there's paper Bitcoin, but I'm sure there are some out here, and that will indeed cause some sort of bubble. But the reality is that there is a fixed supply. There is not going to be any more. And there are more and more people coming into the market, more and more companies coming in that understand what this transformative financial technology actually is. And like David mentioned, fast forward this. What happens when, at a minimum, these companies can just keep leveraging like we see Strategy do? So Strategy holds Bitcoin. When Bitcoin goes up, their valuation goes up. They can then raise more money, and they can take that money and buy more BTC. This is just a loop. It's an infinite money glitch for these companies, and the ones that are specifically removing it from the exchanges, that is going to affect the price. So if you're sitting, like you said, you're sitting on the sidelines waiting for a dip, this alone could stop a dip from happening. Now, of course, there could be a dip if, like I'm speculating, there's some paper Bitcoin out there, but Strategy being the biggest whale and biggest holder, the way that he has positioned what he's doing is that there is no downside risk. And these are his words, not mine. So he doesn't have any interest due. These things don't mature for at least 4 years, a whole bunch of different stuff. So he's done his engineering, giga chat, giga brain checks and balances on this. So if this doesn't blow up, then none of these other ones will even matter, because 80K Bitcoin was sold by that whale last week, and BTC dropped 2 to 3% and then reabsorbed that. So if an 80K whale can drop 80K and it not swing the price one bit due to, again, the amount of money being circulated from these companies, like, all that means is even an 100K or maybe a 200K drop, these companies will just raise more money and buy more Bitcoin. Like, that's it. So I don't know how else to say it. The writing's on the wall. If you are not paying attention and not looking at this and seeing what's going on behind the scenes, you're gonna get left behind, man. That's the only way to really express what the hell is happening and give some awareness to this. So stay humble, stack sats. Don't get, this is the best advice, non-financial advice that I can give. All right, lift daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.